So in the previous class, we have seen the introduction about the application which we are going to automate, and also we have seen we have gone through some test cases document. So from today we are going to start implementation of the framework and step-by-step process. So first of all, we'll take one test case, and then we will start developing the framework. One or two test cases initially we will take and start developing the framework. Means we will start creating the page object classes, then start creating the utility files, reusable component properties files, and so on. So once your framework is done, so then we will try to add some more test cases. Okay. So initially we'll take one or two test cases and develop the entire framework. Once the framework is done, then we can add more number of test cases. That is a continuous task. So once the design is done, so once the design is completed, then we can add some more test cases, and that is again continuous activity. So the first major part is designing the frame. So let us focus on that first. So as part of today's session, what you will do is let me go through the document, what type of framework and how we will create. So this is the structure, the entire structure of the framework, hybrid driven framework. We'll use Java, Selenium, TestNG, Maven, page object model pattern. So if you look at this, there are multiple components we have to create under the project. Page objects, and which contains only page objects and test cases, and test.engine.xml file, and then pom.xml file. And the test cases again will internally use utility files, test data files, and some resources files. And when I run test engine on pom.xml, we can generate the reports and log files. And this is the part of development and execution. And once the development execution is done, then we will push our code into the Git repository, which is our local repository. And again, we will push them into GitHub repository, which is again remote or global repository. And finally, we will run this code on the Jenkins in remote environment. So this is a process of developing the entire framework. Okay. Now, the whole thing we will develop step by step, we will follow. And first step, what we need to do is we need to create a Maven project. So Maven project is always preferred when you're working a new project or when you're starting a new project. Maven project will be always preferred. So because we can easily add dependencies, right? So we can easily update your project versions, and we can also run our project in the remote environments. So these are all possible only through Maven project. So most of the things we can automatically do it instead of involving manual stuff. So we need to create a new Maven project, and we need to add dependencies. Required dependencies. So what are the dependencies we required for our project? We will add all required dependencies in our pom.xml. So here I have provided all the links, and whatever dependencies required for our project, we can add them. So for example, Selenium Java dependency we required, and Apache PY dependencies we required to work with Excel file, and log4j dependencies are required to generate the logs. And some other third-party dependencies also required, commons IO, commons lang3, and test-ng dependency, extend report dependency, right? So these are all required for our project. So we will add all the dependencies in the pom.xml, and then we will create a folder structure like this. So first of all, let us start creating a new project in Eclipse, and then we will start adding the dependencies. That's the first step. So let me open my Eclipse. So in whichever sequence I'm just following, so you guys also follow the same sequence at the time of practicing. So don't jump here and there. So today I'll focus only on the first step. So here, so once this is done, I will stop, and you practice this today itself, and tomorrow we'll continue the next step. So without finishing the first step, don't go to the second step. Okay, this is a step-by-step process which we have to follow to create a framework. Otherwise, you will be confused. Okay. So let's go to the now let's go and create a new Maven project, and then we will update a pom.xml file. So this is my Eclipse, and this is the project which we already created earlier. So now for the framework purpose, we will create a new project. So go to the file, new Maven project. Okay, and I can skip this, click on the new, and here we can provide group ID artifact IDs. Normally it's a project name. So I can say this is my open cart. Open cart. You can just give some version number. Let's say version 121, some version number you can. So this is just my project name. Okay. So or you can give any name, no problem. Yeah. So this is OpenCart version 121. I'm just giving some version number. You can give anything. So once you provided group ID and artifact ID, you can simply say finish. So once you have done it, so it is created a new OpenCart Maven project. And by default, you will get some folders. Now directly go to pom.xml. In the pom.xml, we will add required dependencies. Again, so you can say before adding dependencies, we need to create one new tag called dependencies. Okay, so inside the dependencies, we will keep adding required dependency. So I will share this document also later, so you can get all these things. So by using this link, you can directly navigate to MVN repository, and from there you can get all the required dependencies. Okay, so this is a URL, and 4.20, this is a recently released, just April 24th, just a week back, 1 week back, that new version of Selenium is got released. So I'm just going to add this. So I'm just adding this dependency. This is one dependency. And what else we required? We require Apache POI, Apache POI OXML. So these are all dependencies required. So I already captured those dependencies earlier. So I will just copy those dependency. So in the real-time scenarios, provide the dependencies in a, no one will provide anything. Okay, you have to do your own self. So anybody is providing, somebody is providing something, what you will do? Dependency is the basic stuff, right? So this is a very basic stuff. You have to add all the dependencies. Whatever dependencies required your project, you have to identify them based upon your knowledge and skill set. That is your job, your responsibility. So no one come and do spoon feeding. Okay, so you have to do your own work. But if you need any clarifications or if you're stuck somewhere, if you have any questions or doubts, then you can approach the leads. But very small things, you should not approach them. Okay. So you should, this is a basic skill set you should have. What are the dependencies are required your project? Okay. Right. So let me add rest of the dependencies into your project. So I already captured these dependencies earlier. So I'm just adding them. Okay, so this is Selenium Java dependencies, and these two dependencies also required. So I will show you later where exactly this common.io, commons lang3 dependencies are required. So you can add them last. And these two are for Excel file dependencies. And these two are for logging. Suppose if you want to generate the logs, we need these two dependencies. Okay, and finally, we need, this is the extend report dependency, test ng dependency, and these are the two additional dependencies I'm adding. So ultimately, we covered all the dependencies, whatever there in this list. And later, you can just copy these dependencies. Anyway, I will share this pom.xml, or you can just cross check if there is any latest version is available, this POI or any log4j or something else. Only the versions may be updated in future. Rest of them are same. In future, if there is any update comes on that particular library, you can simply add that version. Okay. But Selenium, I have added latest version as of now. Group ID and artifact ID is just a project name. So whatever group ID, artifact ID which you have given at the time of creating a Maven project, with the same name, the project will be created here. Okay. So the same group ID, artifact ID will be displayed in the pom.xml also. Right. It is just a project name. Okay. Now you can just update all the dependencies. Now, once you have saved, just try to update your project one more time. so that all the dependencies, whatever we required, we'll get it. So you can say update project, force update, you can say okay. So once it is done, your pom.xml is successfully updated. Okay. So this is not a new stuff. We have already done many times in the previous sessions. So this is the first step. So we have created new project and required pom.xml dependencies we have added. So you may not be able to add all the dependencies at the beginning, but later on, okay, so suppose as a document, so initially you can add few dependencies and then later on, whenever you're working with Excel file in our project, then you can add this Apache and so on. Okay. But better to add all of them in the beginning itself so that you won't miss anything in future. So this is the first step. So once you create your Maven project, then the next step is we have to create a folder structure. As I told you yesterday session, so framework is basically what organizes the project related files in the different folders and different formats. So we will create a different packages and different folders inside the project. So for example, you can see SRC test Java, we have a page objects package, test base, test cases, utilities. So these are all packages. And here under the project, we have logs, reports, screenshots, test data. So these are the folders. Along with them, we also have pom.xml, testengine.xml. So basic folder structure. Later, we will keep adding more number of files into this. So initially, we will have a basic structure, folder structure in this, like this. So let us create the folder structure in our project. So before creating the folder structure, and Maven project itself is giving some folders here, SRC main Java, SRC main resources, SRC test Java, SRC test resources, right? So we don't need all this actually. So SRC test Java, SRC test resource. So these are the two packages normally used for testing purpose. And first two packages normally used for development purpose. So development code, they will put in SRC main Java, and the unit test cases, if any resources are required to develop something, they put all the resources here. Similar SRC test Java, all test cases we will keep inside test Java. And if any resources are required to do the testing, that you can put in the resources. So basically we are doing the testing part. So we don't need these two packages, but some people will still use those packages. That's not a problem. So for now, let me remove these two packages, select both and remove them. We don't need those. So we need these two packages mandatorily, SRC test Java, SRC test resources. So in SRC test Java only, we have to create all the page object classes, utilities, test cases, and so on. And SRC test resources contains a resources file like properties file and so on. Okay, and pom.xml, we already added dependencies. So once you added dependencies under Maven dependencies, you can see all the dependencies are added. Okay, now we will create a folder structure according to this. So I will share this diagram and everything. So just as it is, copy this. So resources, I will explain in the coming sessions, you will understand. So once the concept comes, then I will explain. Okay, for now, just ignore it. So resource is nothing but something which we required to develop the test case. So for example, a properties file. So properties file is one of the resource file. Okay, and log4j file is one of the resource file. Right, so those files we have to use in our automation test cases. For example, if I look at the structure, so utilities here, this is one resource file. And resources, under resources, we will keep properties and log4j. So these are the resources files which are required our test cases, required to our test cases. So those files are called resources files. Okay. So for example, if you want to cook something, you need some raw items, right? So without raw items, you cannot cook. If you want to make a curry, you need some vegetables and everything. So what are those vegetables? Basically called resources. Similarly, when you want to create a test case, there are some resource files are required, okay, which contain some data or some kind of configurations and so on. So they are called resources. And we will try to create these resources also in the next steps. Initially, we just create a folder structure and leave it. So slowly we will add all the files into each and every folder, each and every packages. Yes, Excel files also comes under the resources. Okay. Excel files also comes under the resources. Test data, utility files, these are all comes under the resources. Okay. Now we can see SRC test Java, SRC test resources. Now let us create the folder structure exactly similar to this one. Okay, let's keep this one side by side. And by looking at this folder structure, we will create our own folder structure. Now under SRC test Java, we will maintain the page object classes, test base. I'll tell you what is this test base, and test cases and utilities. So these four are comes under SRC test Java. So let's create them first. So go here, SRC test Java, new. Okay, so let's keep them side by side so that it is easy to refer. Okay. So under SRC test Java, I'm creating a new package. So we need to follow the naming standards, naming conventions properly. Uppercase, lowercase, all these things very carefully. So here always package name is always start from lowercase characters. So I'm just giving page objects. So in this, only page object classes we have to create. And test base I will create later. And I will create another package called test cases. And this package contains only test cases. And then I will create another package called utilities. Utilities. And this package contains the utility files. What are the utility files? Can you give some examples? Utility files. The last classes we have seen. Excel utils.java, extend report manager.java. To generate extend report, we have a utility file. And those files we will keep inside the utilities. So test base I will create later because the test base package contains the common methods which are required for every test case that we will create later. So as of now, I created two packages, page objects, test cases, and utilities. And page object classes, page objects package contains only page object classes. Test case package contains only test cases. We should not club everything. So utilities package contains a utility files. And now we will create some more folders like logs, reports, screenshots, test data, right? These folders also we required. And the logs folder, we will generate all the log files. I'll explain what is a log file, how to generate and what is the importance later. And reports folder, we will keep all the reports. Screenshot folder, we will anyway, we'll share the screenshot, we'll copy the screenshots on failures. And test data folder contains the Excel files, test data files. Okay. So even though the test data is a resource, why we cannot put inside the and SRC test resources? Because SRC test resources is basically Java package. So when I say Java package, which contains only Java classes or a properties files also we can store, but we cannot store normal files like notepads or text files or Excel files. So these type of files we cannot store under SRC test resources, even though they are the resources, because this is a package. Package contains what? Classes, right? And folder contains what? Any type of file. So any type of file we can store in the folders, but inside the package, we can create only classes. That is the reason. So here SRC test resources, we will create later. And for now, we'll just create a folder structure, logs. So go to the project and this logs, report, screenshot, test data, these are all project level, not inside SRC test Java, not related to SRC test resources. Directly, we have to create them inside the project. So select the project, right click here, new folder, and here give the folder name. So I create logs folder, click on finish and create another folder and reports. This folder contains all the reports and create another folder. This folder contains the screenshots. Okay, so logs, report, screenshot, test data. So we'll add Excel files, test data files later when I do data-driven testing. But for now, just I'm creating the folder, test data. Okay, pom.xml anyway we already have. So testng.xml we will create later. So once we have some test cases, then we will try to create a testng.xml. Okay, so this is how we need to create a folder structure. Again, in the each and every package, inside each and every folder, we will create many types of files in later. Slowly we will do step by step. So basic structure, folder structure, which we have already created. So now let us start, take one test case and try to implement the framework step by step. I'll explain test base. Hold on. So you don't need to ask anything. I will explain each and everything. Just have some patience. I don't miss even single thing here. Test base, I will create and explain, because if I create test base, you will ask you what is a test base. Okay, so when I create something, then I will explain about what is test base, why it is required. So test base is basically required for test cases. So whatever the common methods are required for every test case, those common methods we will keep in separate class. That class we will create inside the test base. Okay, this is the base for all the test cases. That is the reason I put as a test base. Hold on for some time. I'll explain this in detail. Okay, so this is the folder structure which we have created. Now, the next step, we are going to start developing of hyper-driven framework by taking one single test case. So a lot of attention and focus is required. So just listen what I'm saying here. If you have any queries and everything, at the end of the session, I will take up everything. Okay. If anything is needed, I will repeat once again. No need, no problem. Okay. So let's go to the test case now. First, I'm taking account registration because this is the first most important test. Why? Because if you create an account, then you will get a login details. So once you get a login details, then I am able to log into application and then I can proceed further functionality. I can proceed testing the further functionality. So before login functionality, account registration is most important. So I'm taking a very important test case, which is crucial for all the test cases, account registration. Okay, so in account registration, let's go and see the steps. Let's go to the application first. Account registration. You can take a local app. You can take yesterday. I've already shared the link. You guys can use that link. Okay, but I'm trying to use my local application, which is already installed on my system. So starting my exam server. Okay, right. So let us start creating the new test case. So before creating the test case, we need to understand what is a test case and what are the page object classes we required and what type of validation we have to keep. So these are all things we need to understand first. Okay, so if I go back to the yesterday document, so let me capture the URL of the application. So this is the URL. This is the URL of the application which I am trying to use. Okay, you guys can use another URL which I already shared yesterday session. Okay, so now let's go and open this URL and see, look at how we can do the registration test. So this is the home page. We need to launch our application. That's the step number one. And if you need all the steps, go to the Excel file, which I already shared. So we will understand all the steps. So first we need to launch our application and then we need to click on this My Account. This is a link. We need to click on this My Account. Then you will see the register page. Once you click on the register page, then you will get the registration form. And once you fill all these forms, click on the continue, then you will get the confirmation message. Account is successfully registered something, right? This is a test case. So now you tell me how many page object classes are required to automate this functionality. Can give some number. How many page object classes are required? 1, 2, or 3. So this is a home page, right? So there is registration link. My account link is present where? In the home page. So from the home page, we have to capture this My Account and also register and login. So these two links also part of the home page itself. Home page, right? Home page, we have a My Account. And if you go here, we have a register and a login. So when I click on the register, and you will get the registration form. Similarly, when you click on this login, you will get the login form. So this register and login, these two are part of home page, right? At my account, register, login. And once you go to the registered page, you will get the registration form. This is another page. So how many pages are required? Home page, registration page, 2 page object classes we require. So the first step is we have to create a page object classes. We have to create page object classes. So let's see how we can create a page object classes. And 2 classes I'm going to create. First, home page. The home page contains what? This my account, register, login. So these 3 links are present in the home page. Once you go to the register, you will get another page. This is the second page, home page, account registration page. So 2 pages we have to create. So the page object class creation will take a lot of time. So I already created earlier. So I will just copy here and then I'll explain. So let's go to the page object classes, and where we have to create page object classes under page objects package. So in this we have to create. So let's go and create page object classes, account registration page and home page. So I'm just copying here. So these are the 2 page object classes I have created. So first go to homepage.java. So when you go to homepage.java, so forget about this. I'll tell you what exactly it is, or else you can remove for now. Okay, so let it be there. Okay, so forget about the constructor and everything. I'll explain this part. So whenever you create a page object class, which contains 3 parts. One is constructor, second part is locator, third part is action methods that we already understood it in the previous sessions. So this is the constructor which we have created, and the constructor name should be same as a class name. It will take the driver. And actually here what we have to write, page factory dot init elements. But I have not written that because I also separated constructor in a separate class, because all page object classes contains a constructor, right? So instead of writing the constructor in every page object class, I separated the constructor in another class that is extended into this constructor. For example, here I created one more class, base page. And what is this base page contains? The base page contains only constructor, nothing else. Only constructor, WebDriver variable and constructor. That's it. And this particular base page is extended into every page object class. So this is the parent of all the page object classes. This is the parent of all the page object classes. So why I make this as a parent? Because the constructor is same, right? If you create any number of page object classes, for every page object class, we have to create one constructor, right? So instead of creating this part for every page object class, what I've done, I created a new class called base page. I define the driver variable. Also, I have created one constructor, and this will take the driver. And here I mentioned page factory.init elements, right? So now if you go back to the actual page object class, just observe. So this is a home page object class, which we created for home page, that is extended from what? Base page. When I extended base page, whatever constructor and variable is created, which is also belongs to home page or not? Yes. Now inside this home page, this driver is not required again because we already created here. In the home page, we have created another constructor because constructor name should be same as a class. So without creating this constructor, we cannot invoke the parent class constructor. This is inheritance, reusability. Okay. So from the home page, from the child class, how we can invoke the parent class constructor? Can we invoke the parent class constructor? Yes or no? Can we invoke the parent class constructor? Yes, we can invoke. We have seen 3 parts. During inheritance classes, we have discussed. Immediate parent class variable we can invoke. Immediate parent class method also we can invoke. Immediate parent class constructor also we can invoke by using super keyword. Same thing I have done here. So I have created one constructor with this class name. I'm expecting the driver from the test case. Later, I will pass this driver. And instead of doing page factory.init elements, I'm directly passing the same driver to the parent class constructor. I'm passing the driver to the parent class constructor. And inside the parent class, this constructor will receive the driver and initiate the driver. This is one-time job. So from now onwards, whichever page object class you created newly, that page object class should extend from the base page. What base page doesn't have any web elements, action methods, nothing. This is just a reusable component of all the page object classes. So all the page object classes should be derived from base page. Okay. And why we have done like this? Because to achieve the reusability, simple concept. Instead of writing this page factory.init elements every time in every class, we just created a separate class and where we mentioned only constructor part. Done. So now come to the actual page object class. So we have created one constructor and we are passing this driver to the parent class constructor. That means the driver is got initiated. Now here I have added two elements for now. So my account register, because we are doing only account registration test. So for account registration test, do we need this login link? No, right? We don't need this login link. Only register link we required and my account is required. So as of now, I'm just adding only these two links. But in future, when you're automating the login test, then you need the login link. That time we will add login also into the same page object class. Okay. Now for now, I'm just adding only two elements, my account and a register. So here, go back to the page object class. And you can just look at here. This is a registration link. This is the registration link. This is a my account link. I already captured the XPath and I used a find element. Okay. So first we capture the two elements. And then for every element, we need to write an action method, right? So I have written two action methods. Click my account, click register. When I say click my account, it will capture the element from here and then perform the click action. Then it capture the account register element here, then perform the click action. Okay. So two elements only we require for now. Later, we can add more number of elements, more number of action method. But for now, these are enough for registration test case. So two classes or two methods we have. This is one page object class, which we require to automate registration test case. And is this enough? No, we need to add another class, registration page. Once you click on this register, it will go to account registration page, right? So we need to add all these elements to another page object. Okay. So now let us create another page object class where we will add all these elements which are related to account registration account. So go back to the Eclipse and go to account registration page. Now I have already created another page object class, account registration test. Right. So now you can see here, whenever I created a new page, extend from the base page. And this is not needed. Okay. So base page. And we are passing the driver to the parent class constructor. So this is a mandatory step in every page object class. Now, if I look at here, these are the different elements I already identified. First name, last name, email address, telephone, password, confirm password, policy. This is checkbox actually, and continue button. And this is the confirmation message. So once you successfully provided all the fields, once you click on the continue, here you will see one confirmation message. That is a message we have to validate. So that message also I have captured into a variable. So I've taken this. Your account has been created. You will get this message. So that message also have captured so that we need to do some validation on that message. So these are the elements we required from the registration page. Now, for every element, we need to create an action method. Now scroll down. This is my first method. Set first name. And I'm getting the first name parameter from the test case and get the field and pass the value. So what is this txt first name? Element, first name input box. This is a last name input box. So this is an input box. And you can look at the variable names of how I have given.
we have to follow the naming conventions. You can see txt is a prefix, txt representing text box, and chk, which is representing checkbox, btn, which is representing button. So you can use such type of keywords so that you can easily recognize what type of element it is by just seeing the variable name. Okay, so now for every element, I have created different type of action. If I look at here, this method for setting the first name, this is for last name, and this is for email address, this is for telephone number. Okay, and even though it is telephone number, we have to pass in the string format. So that's the reason I'm taking telephone variable as a string format. And password, confirm password. So password, confirm password always same. So I'm passing the same parameter in both the places. And privacy, we need to select the checkbox. And after that, we need to click on the continue button. So this is the continue button we have to click. So for that, I have used button.click. If click method is not working, then you can try alternative solutions. Okay, because sometimes click method will not work. It will throw element interceptable exception or click element interactable exception, something like this. So you can handle this using this one. Dot submit also a method we can use to perform click action, or you can click on that button by using actions class, or you can use JavaScript executor, or you can do keyboard action, or you can use explicit wait. So there are multiple solutions are there to click on the button. So you can apply one of the solution, whichever is working fine. So if click is not directly working, then I'll try to enable the other options. Okay. Then what is this method? Get confirmation message. The last element, right? So what is this message? When you will get this? Once the account is successfully registered, then you will get the message. That is validation part. But in the page object class, we should not do any validations. Okay, remember the point. Validations should be always part of the test case. Okay, validations we should always do inside the test case, not inside the page object classes. But what we have to write in the page object classes for the confirmation element is, so we have to create one method called get confirmation message. And inside this, whatever the text we have captured into this element, from this element, we have to extract the text. What is the text value of this element is this one. And once extracted the text, we will compare with our expected test. So what this method will do is, it will capture the text value and it will just return it. It will not do any validation. It will capture the text value of the confirmation message. Then it is just returning this message. Okay, suppose if the confirmation message is not displayed because sometimes account registration is got failed, then it will throw exception. The message will be returned. Exception message we will return. So ultimately the return type is a string. But are we doing any validation here? No, no validation. And based on this return value, we will do validation inside the test case. Okay. So this is a page object class for what? Account registration page. So two page object classes we required. So two page object classes which we have created. For the first test case, account registration test case itself, we are talking about. So in future, if you're trying to automate something else, then if you need more elements, then from the registration page, then you can add more number of elements and more number of action methods. This is a continuous task. As soon as you accommodating new test cases, so definitely there will be requirement to update existing page object classes. So we will keep on adding more number of elements. We keep on adding more number of action methods. That is a continuous task till we completed all the test cases. All right. So now everybody is clear about these three page object classes. Main page object classes are only two: account registration page and home page. And extra we created is base page. Base page is not a page object class, but it is required for every page object class. Only the constructor part we have separated. So this is required for every page object class. So that's the reason we kept this inside the page objects itself. Got my point? So is this clear? The first one, first part. So we created page object classes. So if I go back to the document, so what I said, create a base page under page objects, which includes only constructor. This will be invoked by every page object class constructor. First step is done, understood. Now we created a page object classes for home page, registration page under page objects package. Two page object classes we created. And all page object classes should be extended from what? Base page. All page object classes should be extended from base page. Why? Because base page contains the constructor. Now, first two steps are clear. Now we'll go to the test case. Next step. So we will create a new test case account registration test under test cases. In the catch block, I'm just returning the exception. If I go back to the page object class, the confirmation message text I'm returning. Suppose if the confirmation text is wrong, or if the confirmation text is not at all displayed, if the account registration is failed, then it will throw some exception, right? So that will, I'm throwing this get message. So this exception message I'm throwing. But what is the return type here? Return type can be string, that can be this message, or it can be exception message, whatever. And we will use this for the validation purpose in the test case later. And here we are not doing any validation. We are just returning the confirmation message. And based on the message, we do validations inside the test case. Okay. Now, so far, first two steps are clear. Now we'll try to create a new test case. Where we have to create a test case? Under test cases package. Okay. Let's go back and create a new test case. So here under this test case, I am creating the new class. So normally we will give the test case ID's complete name for the test case. So I'm also following the same standard. I can say TC. Test case is always start from the TC keyword, TC underscore and feature name, account registration, test, TC underscore account registration test. And we'll give some number also, TC001, TC001 underscore account registration test. And click on finish. So now we need to create a test case. So whenever you create a new test case, so do we need to create a base page under page object package every time in a new project? How many times you will create a project? Tell me first. How many times you will create a project? How many times will create a project? One time or multiple times? Only one time, right? So then we will create everything in only one time. This base page we created only one time. We don't need to create this multiple times. So you will create multiple page object classes. So currently we have only two page object classes. Tomorrow you can add multiple page object classes, but every page object class should extend this base page just like this. So we have extended this base page. That's it. So you don't need to create a base page multiple times. Okay, right. So remember this. So we will create multiple test cases here. So under test cases, I've created TC001 account registration test. So now in this, we have to create account registration test. So every test, see, every class is considered as one test case. I'm not talking in XML point of view. XML is totally different. Here, for now, just consider one single class is one test case. Okay. Right. So we will create a multiple classes for multiple test cases. Yeah. So now go to the registration test. So here I will create three methods. One is called void setup. Okay, so I can create one method, void setup. So in this method, I will create a setup part, like creating the driver, launching the page, and so on. And I will create another actual method, test method. A tear down also we require. After completion of the test, we have to close it. So I will create another method called tear down. And after that actual test, I will create. So that's called login test. I can create void. You can use verify or test and whatever you want. So I can use verify underscore account underscore registration. I kept some method. This is actual test method. Okay. So this setup method and tear down method. So make everything as a public because we are working with multiple packages. So we should be able to access them in almost throughout the project. So whatever method you created, it can be test method or normal method, whatever it is. make everything as a public so that we are able to access throughout the project, not only specific to package. So make everything as a public. Okay. Right. So now the setup method is responsible for launching the page and everything. So what I will do is I'll create one variable. WebDriver is required. So WebDriver drive. So let's import this WebDriver and make it, this is also public. And then in the setup method, I will execute only once, right? So I can make this as a before class. I'll make this as a before class because the setup method I will execute only once. And similarly, tier down method also I'll execute only once. So I can say after class. After class. Okay. Now in the setup method, we will try to initiate the driver. So how we can do this? I can put all this stuff here. So driver equal to, we already created this driver variable as a global class variable. So we no need to write WebDriver once again here. So initially starting with the Chrome driver. So later we'll add more number of browsers and Chrome driver. And this method will delete all the cookies from the web page. If you already stored some cookies information, so this command will delete all the cookies. Driver.manage delete all the cookies. It's better to have this method sometimes. And this is implicit weight I put in the setup method itself. And this is the page I'm launching. This is my application I'm launching. And then maximize the page. So this is a setup method. Now in the tear down method, what you will do, you will close my driver. So simply you can say driver.quit or driver.close. You can write whatever. Now in this actual test method, we have to write the test. So this is the actual test method. I can put the test annotation for this particular method. Because I have only one test method in this, priority is not needed. So just test annotation. Now to implement this test, we have to take the help of page object classes. So two page object classes are there. So first, in which page we have to go? Which page? Home page, right? As soon as you're launching your application, the home page will be displayed. So from the home page, you need to click on the My Account and you need to click on the Register. So these are the two links present inside the home page. So from the home page object class, we have to access these two methods. Okay, so let's do that. So how to access these two methods from the page object class? How to access these two methods? Because when I say click my account, click my register, this will perform the action, right? But how to access these two methods from the page object class? Yes, we have to create an object of home page. Through that object, we can access these two methods. Now go back to your test method. Listen very, very carefully. A lot of attention is needed. So in this, I'm creating home page object, home page. Okay, HP equal to new home page, new home page. Okay, now I created an object for the home page. So by using this object, this where we created this class, we created under page object class, right? We have to import this. These are all user defined packages. We have created our own packages. See, import home page from where? Page objects, because our test case is present in the different package and page object classes are present in the different package. So we have to import. Okay. Now, is this enough? We just created a page object class. Can we directly access these methods? Is this enough? No. Why? Because this home page constructor is there. So constructor is trying to invoke it. So constructor will try to invoke at the runtime. So it needs a driver. So we already created the driver in the first method, right? So we'll just pass the driver. Okay. So now by using this HP, I can call click my account. And another method is what? HP dot click register. Done. Two actions are done from the home page. So once you click on the register, then where it will go? It will go to the account registration page. So now we need to access these elements. Where we can access these elements? From the account registration page object class. Now we have done work with the home page. You can close this. Now we'll open another page object class called account registration page. Right. So now two actions we have done by using home page. Now we need to call these methods, first name, last name, send email, all these methods we have to call by passing data also. Right. So how to access these methods now? Again, we have to create an object for account registration page. So now account registration page and registration page, I'm creating one more variable equal to new account registration page. Again, one more time, we have to pass the driver because account registration page is also needed driver. Okay. Now just we need to import this because the account registration page is also coming from different package. Now we just import this. Okay. Now from this page, we have to call all the methods one by one. Okay. Right. By using this method, by using this object, we have to call all the action methods which are already created in the account registration page. Okay. So in the same method, same validation. So let me call all the methods from that particular page. So let me do this. Okay. Just observe very carefully. Here's something new you will learn. So from the home page, we click on account register, account and register. This is the advantage of using page object model pattern. In the page object model sessions, I already told you one test case can use multiple page object classes, right? Can refer the element from multiple page object classes. That is the main advantage of using page object class. So how many page object classes we referred in one test case? Here, how many page object classes we referred in one single test case? Two page object classes. And the same two page object classes you can refer in another test cases also. So going forward, we are also going to create multiple test cases. In those test cases also, we are going to refer the same page object classes. So that is the advantage of having page object class. Okay. Right. In the same test, we access the home page and perform the actions. Then we have created an object for account registration page. Now we are calling all the methods. So what is this random string uppercase? I will explain what exactly it is. So for now, I'm just passing some first name and let's say this is my last name, first name, last name. And we should also pass the email address here. So these are all strings. So I can pass some data like this. Okay. And telephone number, I will pass a string number, string, because even though it is a number, we have to pass in string format. Some random number I'll pass. And password, I comment this. Password, some XYZ12345. And for now, I'm just hard coding this data. Again, XYZ12345. So because confirmation password, actual password should be same. This privacy policy, click on continue. Okay, so if you observe here, from the page object class, whatever action methods I have written, set first name, I'm calling here by passing the value. And this first name will receive the value here and perform the action. Similarly, I'm calling last name, email, telephone. Okay, and then we have a set password, confirm password, this set password, confirm password. And then click on the privacy policy. This is a checkbox. And then click on the button. So this is the last method. I click. Okay, so then once you click on this, the action is completed. But validation part, we need to include. So for validation, we are going to call this method, get confirmation message. So from the same registration page, after clicking on the continue, from the registration page, we are calling get confirmation message. And what this method will do, this method will return the confirmation message in the string format. So that we have to capture in a variable. I'll create one variable called string confirmation message equal to. So now we need to apply validation on this confirmation message. How we can apply the validation? By adding just assertion. Assert dot asset equals asset dot asset equals. And here you can put confirmation message. And what exactly you're expecting here, what confirmation you're expecting here is this one. Let me put that. your account has been created, which includes a exclamatory mark also. So this is the message we are expecting. So this is the validation in single step. Okay. So with this, we have successfully completed a test method. See, we have accessed one page object class here, home page, and here another page. And we have passed all the data, and finally, we have done the validation. So password and confirm password should be the same. Okay, so this is the email address and we are just giving. Okay, so done. It is not the same. Set password, confirmation password. Okay, fine. So password and confirmation password, the value exactly should be same. Okay. So everybody's understood so far. We have just created two page object classes, and then we have created our test case. So this is our test. Still, it is not completed, but so far you understood. So how to create the test case? Yes. So now let me tell you something. So if I execute this test, will it work or not? Yes. Let us go and check. So I'm just running the test-ng test. Run as test-ng test. Okay, so now it is launched my page. Now it is clicking on the registration page, provided all the options, perfectly executed, successfully executed. My test is got passed. Okay, now let us do few things in this. Still, it is not completed. So first round, I have already executed my test case, executed and passed. One more time, I'm executing the test case. Second time, observe. So second time, I'm executing my test case. See what has happened. Email address is already registered. Means same email ID we cannot pass in every execution. For every registration, the same email ID we cannot pass. My test is got failed. Okay. So then how can we solve this problem? Every time we have to pass a different email address. So now we have to generate this email ID randomly. So we need to prepare the test data random. So there are two kinds of test data, guys. One is before executing the test case, we will prepare our own data, static data that will never change. Second type is dynamic data. So that we will create at the runtime. Randomly we will create. So static test data, random test data. So these are the two kinds of test data we will have most of the times. Okay. So can you show me the message in console? What is the message you're expecting? My test case is failed. Simple. So it is launching my page, trying to provide all the details. Now we can see this is a failure. Now if you go back and see your console, it is still running. Yeah, now it is got failed. Go to the console. It is simply saying expected is your account has been created. But what is the problem? No such element, unable to locate element. Why this element is not required? Because the confirmation message has a different element, right? So that is not displayed. So that's the reason it is throwing this exception. Okay, right. So now let us think about the email address. This problem we have to solve. So every time when you run this test, it will pass only once. Second time when you use the same email ID, it will fail. So now we need to generate this email ID randomly. Randomly we have to generate. So how can we generate a random data? So for that, we have to create our own user-defined method. Okay, in Java method, we have to create. There is no built-in method which is available. We have to create our own method which will generate some text randomly from by taking A to Z, by taking multiple characters. It will randomly generate some string. So for that, we need to write a method. Okay, so how we can write it? So let it be the test method like this. And now I'm creating a normal Java method. So here I'm creating for now. So I can say random string. I'm creating one user defined method. Okay, so this method will return string and also it's a public string random string. Okay, so this method will return a string random string, but we need to generate that. How to generate the random string in Java? In Java, there is a predefined class which is available called random string utils. This is a predefined class which is already there in Java. Random string utils. Inside this, there is a method called random alphabetic. Random alphabetic. Inside this, we have to pass how many characters you should have in a string. How many characters you should have in a string. We can specify. Let's say I want to have 5 characters. Let me put 5. 0 to 9, you can put any number. So in my string, generated string, I should have a 5 characters. So here I can say call this method random string utils dot random alphabetic. So this random string utils is a predefined class which is there in commons library, not directly in Java. It is not directly from Java. It is from commons library, commons.lang3. So you will get this class if you add this particular dependency. If you look at the Pomlet XML, I have added one new dependency called commons lang3, right? So because of this dependency, we got those classes. Okay, that is the reason we are able to access this random utils. This is not from Java. Okay, yes. So now by using this class, there is a static method, random alphabetic. And when you pass number of characters, this will return a random string. I'm giving some name called generated string. And this variable type is what? String. Okay. And then I will return it. Return generated string. Whatever string is got generated, that I'm just returning. So this is how we can create one user defined method. So which will, when I call this method, what will happen? You will get a random string. Understood, everyone? Are able to follow? So when you call this method, internally, it will generate the random string and it will just return it. 5 characters random string, it will return. So you can put any number here. If you put 10, the string contains a 10 characters. It will take from A to Z. Randomly, it will generate. Every time the new string will be generated. 5 is a number. 5 characters will be there in the generated string. If you put only two character string will be generated. If I put 10 character string will be generated. You can pass this number according to your choice. So now here we have to pass a random email ID, right? We have to pass a random means we need not to provide anything. Where you want to, where you don't want to pass anything. So first listen, let me finish this. Let me finish. Don't ask anything in the middle of something. Let me finish it, then ask the question. Okay, so we just created a method which will create a random string. Okay, now how we will get the random string here in the place of email ID? How we get the random string in the place of email ID? So we need to call that method. Can we call that method directly? So because this method is part of the same class, can we call like this random string? We can directly call, right? Because this is just a method which is also part of the same class, So one method can call another method, right? So instead of passing the email ID, hard-coded value, I'm just calling the random string method. So this method will be called and return the random string. But is it enough? Random string is enough? No, that should be in email format, right? So what you will do, once you get a random string here, you can simply concatenate with something, let's say gmail.com, like this. So now this will become the full-fledged email ID. So in the email ID, this part will generate randomly. And at the rate gmail.com will be appended to the random string. So this is how we can pass random data. Okay, so now if you run this test, it will create a new email ID and test will be completed. So you can run n number of times. Now just observe email ID, you can see it is automatically generated, but at the rate we missed here. At the rate we missed. So we need to put at the rate also. Save it. Now you can run this test n number of times and it will execute. Let me run this again one more time. See now how it is generated email address. So you can run n number of times. So every time it will generate a new email ID with 5 characters random. Okay. Similarly, can we use this method for first name, last name also? Can we use? Because first name, last name is also we hard coded, right? Instead of that, can we use this method, same method for first name, last name? Yes, we can use, no problem. Random string and a random string. Okay, we can still use it, nothing wrong in this. So random string and random string used. But when you say random string, all the characters will be created in the lowercase character, right? But names normally will have capital letters or the first letter will be started with a capital. So when I say random string, it will generate 5 characters randomly, but first the entire character should be in uppercase character I want to pass. Only in uppercase character I want to pass. Then what you will do? You will convert this. So once you create a random string dot to uppercase. So now whatever random string is got generated in the lowercase characters or uppercase combination, ultimately it will convert it into uppercase and pass it into the first name. Same thing here also. I can say to uppercase. So first name, last name, I'm passing after converting into uppercase characters. Now email address and phone number. Okay. So this is how we can pass random test data, which is very, very important stuff. How to create random string. Similarly, can we create a random number? So here a phone number we hard coded in the form of string, right? Can we create numbers? So this particular method is a returning string alphabets, but I want to return string, but that should be having numbers. Okay. So let us create another method for numbers. Okay. So I will copy the same method one more time. And this is instead of random string, I can say random number. Random number. So how can we change this method? Again, you need to use same method, random string utils. In the random string utils, instead of calling random alphabetic, you need to call random numeric. Random numeric. So how many digits you want to have in this number? Up to your wish. So normally phone number contains a 10 digits or 9 digits. So I can put 10 digits for now. So from the random string utils, I'm calling random numeric method of 10. It will return the string which contains a 10 numbers. So return type also a string. So generated number. Even though it is generated a number, that is again still in the number format, string format only. String format only. Okay, so now I'm returning the string. But what is the string contains? Numbers. Can we pass it to the phone number? Can we pass it as a phone number? Yes, because phone number we are passing in the form of string only. So can we call this method now, random number directly? Instead of telephone number we are passing, right? We can directly call random number. That's it. So we are dynamically passing the data in place of first name, right? So sorry, last name and email address dynamically we're passing. Telephone number also we are dynamically passing. Can we pass password also dynamically? Can we pass this number also? Can we pass this password also dynamically? Yes. But most of the time password contains a mixed characters, right? Like special characters, number, alphabet, multiple characters. So here in the random string, we are returning only string. In the random number, we are returning only random number, but I want to combine them. String and number, both I want to combine. Then how we can combine them and how can we create alpha numeric value. So this is purely string. purely alphabets. Here, purely numbers. But I want to generate alphabets along with numbers, the combination. Then I can create one more method. I can create one more method. So this, I can call it as a random alpha numeric. Random alpha numeric. Now, which method we have to call from the random string utils? First, we need to call this one. Okay. Because this will generate the string. I will have, let's say, 3 characters. And then I will call this one so that this will generate the number. Let me have 3 numbers. Okay. So this is a string, this will a number. Now, at the time of returning, I will combine these two. Okay. So this string plus concatenation plus number. Okay. That's it. So what I've done, I've created a random string. I've also created a random number. Then I have concatenate. So ultimately, this will return alphanumeric value. So if you want to add a special characters, you can still add. Suppose this is a string, this is a number. In between, you want to add some special characters. So simply you can add one special character like this. And that is a character we should put inside the double quotes. You can add special characters like this. Or you can add star here, or you can use ampersand, underscore, whatever you want, wherever you want. It can before or after or middle. You can add anywhere. So this will return an random alphanumeric. There is no built-in method for generating the special characters. Only numbers and characters we can generate randomly. Okay. Yeah. So now this will return the actual password, which contains a string, which contains a number, which contains an alphabet. Sorry, which contains a special character. Okay. So now can we call this in the password? Random alphanumeric. So where is the password? Here. I'm calling here once. Also, I'm calling one more time here. So now observe. Will there be any problem if you call that method 2 times in set password and set confirm password? Is there any problem like this? Yes. Why? Because as per our requirement, password and confirm password should be same, right? But when you call this method first time, it will generate one type of a string. Second time, it will generate another type of a string. So both will not be matched. Both will not be matched. So then what we should do now? We should capture the value in a variable first. Okay. So call this method and store that value in a variable, string password. So now this same password we will pass in both the places, here and also here, because we are calling the method only one time. 2 times we are not calling. If you call 2 times, it will generate 2 different strings. They will not match. So we are calling only one time, store that value here, and the same value we are passing in both the places, right? So this is a way we can also pass password randomly, which is very, very, very important stuff. So this part is very, very important. And most of the times when you're designing your framework or when you're automating some tests, you might require this kind of concept. We can randomly generate the data at the runtime. And for that, we have to create our own user-defined methods. So now if you look at this, we are passing first name, last name, email, telephone, everything is randomly we are passing. Even password also we are passing randomly, right? So let's try to execute and see how it is going to work. So run as test-ng test. So some test cases require data like this. Whenever it is required, you need to see now first name, last name in uppercase character, email address, and successfully done. Okay. So this is how we need to create a test case. Okay. Now, so Excel, we will prefer only when you do data-driven test cases. So here we are not doing any data-driven test case, a single test case with single set of data. Okay, so Excel is not preferred here. Excel we will use in the different context. I will come to that part. When I explain about data-driven test cases, I will explain it. But here We are testing the account registration with a single data set. Okay, fine. So everybody's understood how to generate random string, random number, random alphanumeric value. These three should be very, very carefully understood. Okay. Now everything is fine. We created page object classes. We created test case based on the page object classes. And whatever values are duplicated, we just replace them with the dynamic value. Everything perfectly working fine. Now, if I look at this particular test case, so do you, okay, if I look at this test case, do we feel any of these methods commonly required for multiple test cases? For example, setup method is created. So is this required for another test case? Yes or no? Is this method is required for another test case or not? And tear down method is required for multiple test cases. And even these three methods also, whatever we created, these methods also may require for some other test cases. Currently, these methods we are using only in this particular test case, but sometimes these methods also required for other test cases also, right? So what we need to do is, whatever the things we created here, which are commonly required for multiple test cases, we will separate them into another class. We will separate them into another class. Okay, because the setup method is required for every test case. So if you write the same test method in every test case, that is again duplicated. Tear down method is required for every test case. So again, it will be duplicated. So these methods are required for multiple test cases. Again, we have to write the same methods in some other test cases. So duplication is there. So now to simplify this, what we will do is, I will create a new class under test cases itself, and you can just call it as a base class. Okay, this class is a base class for all the test cases classes. Now, what is this base class contains? The reusable methods. Whatever is required for all the test cases, those methods we will keep inside the base class. Now you tell me, from the registration test case, can we remove this part and place it in the base class? Because these two are required for every test case. I separated. Now come bottom. So these three are required for multiple test cases. Random string, random number, alphanumeric. So I can remove from here. I can put this in the base class. Okay. So now save the base class. Save the base class. So base class is got saved. Close it. So now, but how we will get this driver, these methods from the test case? Simply we extends base class. Okay, so now everything is very, very cleaned, right? Now the test class contains only test method, nothing else. Everything is come from the base class. Setup method executed from the base class. Tear down method will execute in the base class. Reusable methods also there in the base class. So in future, whatever methods you commonly required, you can put them in the base class itself. So this base class is a parent class of all the test case classes. Okay, so let me repeat this, why I have done like this. The main objective of this is to achieve the reusability. Okay, so let me explain why I have done. Some people may not be understand this. See, in the test case one, setup method is required and tear down method is required. And another test case two, again setup method is required, tear down is required. In every test case, we require these two methods, right? Instead of writing these two methods in every test case, in the base class, I will create setup method, tear down method. So now you no need to write these two methods in every test case. You can just extend the base class. You will get these two. Again, extend same base class in every test case. So these two methods by default, you will get it into the every test case. So this is the ultimate goal. This is the main objective of separating the common things into separate class. So we are able to achieve the reusability. At the same time, we can avoid duplication. So is this part clear, everyone, so far? So why you have done like this? This is the crucial step. So in future, if you find any new reusable methods, directly straightforward, go to base class and keep them. If you feel some method is commonly required for multiple methods, multiple test case classes, we can blindly put them into the base class. Okay. So now after separating them into base class, now onwards, every test case, whatever you create, that must be imported from what? That must be extended from what? Base class. That we should not forget. So these are all unnecessary annotations. We can remove them. So unnecessary imports, you can just put there and you can see organize import. If I click on organize imports, unnecessary unwanted imports will be automatically removed. Okay. So now you have a only plain test method, nothing else. So let's go and execute now. So which one we have to execute, base class or test case class? Which class we have to execute? Test case class, because base class we already extended into the child class. Base class contains the reusable components. So now execute the test case. Okay, it is got failed. Let me run one more time. What's an error it is giving? Element click. Okay, so let me run one more time. Okay, you can see it is entered all the details in account page. It's going very faster. So my account registration test is got passed. Okay, so this is how we need to start. So we have taken one test case. We created few page object classes. Okay, and base page contains the only constructor which we need to extend in every page object class. Similarly, base class we have to extend in every test case. Okay, why we created base class, you understood at the beginning of the session. Someone is asked, what is this base class? Right, so that is it. And this base class, instead of keeping under test cases, we will create a separate package called test base. So where you can keep this. So let me create that. So new package and test base. This is optional. If you want to create another package, you can keep it, or else no. You can put the test base package, and this base class you can keep inside the test base like this. Now you can remove from here. Okay, that's it. Now we have changed the package, right? So we need to import a different package. So this base class we have to import from test base package. That's it. And see. Done. So this is a small change. So now you understood, right? What is the test base contains? Test base contains only one single class, which is base class. And in this, we have to create all reusable methods or reusable components. So if you look at the test case, we have only one test method. If you want to add another test, you can add it here. Another test method also, you can add it, no problem. But normally one class, we will maintain only one test. And before class, after class, we separated them into base class. Okay, now let us read the points. So we have finished this. So let's go to the points one by one. In the same fashion, you have to practice. How we have explained in the similar fashion, you have to practice. First, we have created a base page under page objects, which contains only constructor. And this page should be extended in every page object class. Okay. Second is we created a page object classes for home page, registration page under page objects package. And we extended base page into every page object class. If I go back to the page object class, every page object class extended from the base page. Base page contains only constructor. That's the second point, 1.2. Now 1.3. We created account registration test under test cases. So once you created, then what we have done, we have created another class called base class under test base, which contains only reusable method. We separated whatever reusable methods we have in the account registration test, we removed from here and put them into base class, which is created under test base. And finally, we created reusable methods to generate random numbers and strings again in the same base class. So base class itself contains a reusable methods. Okay, so this is the first step. But still, test is not completed. We have done only basic stuff. We need to add logging. We need to add report. A lot of things we need to do step by step for the same test case. Okay. So what you need to do is, so just practice this for today's session. So whatever the steps I have done, same steps you follow. First, create Maven project, then add required dependencies. I will share pom.xml also. You can directly copy paste, or you can add all dependencies. Then create a folder structure like this. and try to complete the first step. Finish the first step. It should be in working mode once you have done. So once you completed this, next I will go to the second step. So that we will see in the tomorrow session. Okay, fine. So everybody's clear now. So I will share everything. I will share the folder structure, this document, everything. I'll put these steps for now. I will share this document later, but I'll copy these steps in this notepad so I can go through this and finish these steps. So this is the task for today, everyone. So you have to finish this before coming to the next class, And in the next class, I will go to the next step. We will discuss this step by step. At the practicing time also, you need to practice in the same order. Don't jumble here and here. Don't jump here and here. So do the practice in exact same step, same procedure. So that you will not be having any confusion. So most people will confuse because the problem is they will jumble everything here and there and there. So you should not do like that. Everything, if you go step by step in the process in systematic manner, so you will understand very easily and will not be any confusion. Okay, fine. So I can mention depends on method equal to setup directly. No. Depends on method will accept only test methods, not setup method and before class and after class. So currently in the registration test, we have only registration test, right? So we cannot specify that. Setup method, tear down methods are not dependent tests. Suppose before registration, suppose you already done registration here. For example, if you return the login test here, another test. So once your registration account is registered, you will get an email and a password. With that, you can do the login test, right? So now the login is depending on what? Account registration. So that way we can put depend on methods. So setup method, tear down method is totally different. Okay. So if the setup method itself is got failed, we will exit actually. So we still not completed this. We will do this slowly. Okay. So in the account registration page, we go back to the base class. We just created driver and launching the page. That's it. But if the driver is not successfully created, if the page is not successfully loaded, what should happen? So that particular code we still not handled here. So we will do that slowly later. Okay, we no need to specify the setup method, tear down method, and depend on methods. So depends on methods parameter accepts only test methods. Okay, remember that part. So if the driver is not created, if the application is not open, it will automatically exit from the setup itself. It will not go and execute the rest of the methods. So like that, we have to modify this code. So we will also do that exception handling. Everything we will apply in this. There are a lot of things are missing. Okay, these are basic stuff we have done so far. I'll go to step by step. So don't discuss about Excel sheet now. Okay, there's a separate part I will discuss. So Excel sheet will come here. So here I will explain step 6, data-driven test case. I will explain. Here I will discuss about Excel sheet and everything. So we are automating individual test cases, not data-driven test cases. So once I explain about data-driven test case, then I will talk about Excel file. So don't discuss Excel sheet here. So you no need to install any exam server, any installation. I already given the URL yesterday session. You guys can use that URL at the time of practicing. Okay. So that's all for today's session. I will stop here. So this is your assignment for today. So you need to create a new Maven project, add all the dependencies, create a folder structure, and finish the first step. So I already added the first step in the notepad. Read the notes, read the steps clearly, and do this accordingly. I will share all the files. I will share the page object classes, test case, founded XML, test base, everything, whatever files have newly created, everything I will share and you can get access from.